Yeah, that's not good. You speak up on me? Right.
Has anyone on? Right, so let's try that one.
Yeah.
It's now 1700 hours at 5 p.m. I'd call a meeting of the Beaufort County Board of Education Operations Committee to order. It's being held at the District Education Services Center, Conference Room E, and it's also available through the remote hybrid conferencing. Request for public comments will be accepted between 4 and 4:30 by sending an email with your name, phone number, and topic to Robin Cushenberry at BeaufortK12.sc.us. Members present, Richard Geyer, Victor Ney, William Smith are members of the committee, and that seems to be the only other board members here. And we will go ahead and start with the first item on the agenda, the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, minus the student discipline, which has been discussed in a different committee.
You said minus student discipline.
It was covered under the academics committee when it's supposed to come to this committee.
You said it was?
Yes, it was covered under academics and they presented it at the full board last time. Dr. Julia White presented it at the academics committee meeting.
Oh, so well, they still need to come to this community hearings.
It's supposed to, if the board voted for student services to go through academics, so that's why it was put there. It should not have been put on this agenda. So I didn't catch it when we made the agenda up.
Right, so
So that's why it's coming off of this, because student services comes through academics.
right, but I understand that student services come through academics, but also student services. I thought the actual student services was department comes to operations, which would be injunction of
This one, you, the board voted for it to come through under the last board. Tricia Fidrich made the motion, you all approved it for student services to come through academics. So it should go through academics now, and that's when student services, the discipline was presented at the last academic committee meeting.
okay, I didn't see it, so yeah, I mean, I'm gonna approve just because that's the board action, but I would still like to be appeased of that information.
It's in board docs and you all have it, you have it.
Right, I mean, I get that, but it's just different in terms of having the interaction. I don't know, you can read the information, but having the interaction and the dialogue is not there. That's the point that I missed.
So you have a seconded the motion.
I was second the motion. Yeah, because
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no public comments.
Sir.
We now need approval of two committee meeting minutes. The April 18th committee meeting and the May 1st special called executive session. Do I hear a motion to approve both meeting minutes?
So moved, sorry.
second that.
I'm sorry, so you did second?
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda, Joseph Shanklin Elementary School easement.
We'll just work through that.
Auding.
Do we want to recognize who we know?
Go ahead.
Steve Andrews with Andrews Engineering, Engineering Survey Firm.
Yes.
So, Andrew Dudley with Buford Jasper Westminster.
Okay. And.
Field operations. Brandon Majors, facilities manager.
Robert Foreman, Program Manager.
Okay, got everybody. Let's go.
All right, Andrew Dudley would be Jasper Water and Sewer, who just introduced it. If you'd like to come forward, they are making the request for an easement for a water sewer force main. So with that, I'll hand it over to you and let you explain what the request is.
Yes, sir, thank you. Thank you for having me here today. You, Jasper, have you all had a chance to review the exhibit or that is included?
Yes, and they have the easement, and behind that, they have the easement, and behind that, it's a smaller. version.
Okay, so right now Laurel Bay, the base of Laurel Bay, they have their own water treatment plant. We treat the wastewater and it's discharged into the Beaufort River. This treatment plant is very old, it's built in the 50s. We've kind of nursed it along this whole time. This project, it needs to be decommissioned, either rebuilt, decommission it. After a study was done, we elected to decommission it and send all the wastewater to our Port Royal reclamation facility. That way it wouldn't be discharged straight to the Beaufort River. With that, your school district over in Shanklin, or your school property over in Shanklin, is the only off Laurel Bay site. I don't want to call it base, but I guess it is base. But you're the only entity off base that we accept wastewater from. So it's kind of a vested interest that we get this taken care of. So what we're doing, we have an alignment, and we're going on the south side of your school property. It would be done through a jack and bore method, so no open trenching. We would like to, do it in the summer when the school's out or whenever it's convenient for the school. And it is a 16-inch line, I believe. That will be bored under, and there should be minimal impact. There should be a sending pit on the military side of the fence. We'll bore it, and it'll be a receiving pit right near the entrance of Morrill Drive. From there, it's going to follow Morrill Drive and hook into Bay Pines, and then connect to an E16. So I'm here today to ask for your consideration and easement, a 15-foot wide permanent utility easement for this pipeline along your southern border.
Robert, what is your,
All right, there, so this will be like you said, jack and board, so they won't be disrupting anything. You're providing them an easement so that if something does go wrong and they have to come in there in a case of emergency or something, they come in there and fix it. It's right on the property line on the edge, so I don't have any concerns about this. Our recommendation would be to approve it.
committee members, do you have any comments or questions?
I move that we move forward to the full board and recommend the approval of the easement.
Second.
Yeah, I'll second the discussion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to recommend to the full board that we grant the easement request for Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority, the Joseph Shanklin Elementary School project. Discussion.
Okay.
So like who's responsible for the land once the easement is approved? Are we still providing all the lawn care and all that kind of stuff and limb debris and removal and all that kind of stuff?
It's basically still our property. They just have the rights.
Still the rights to go to it.
If they need to for some reason. So it's underground, unless something goes wrong, there should not be any reason for them to come on. But if all of a sudden there's a leak, they have the rights to come in and repair it, is what this says.
Gotcha. But it'll be fused pipe. So I mean there shouldn't be in our very foreseeable future.
Okay.
A lot. So this will be a underground system versus a above ground system.
Correct.
Is that what you just?
Yes, sir. It'll probably be about 10 feet below existing elevation. And jack and bore, so that's basically a big drill rig. It kind of follows it. And it will daylight. It'll be mostly undisturbed, but it will daylight right where this little angle piece
Into
is,
the parking lot.
into the parking lot. I believe it's a dirt area, maybe a little vegetation there. And we restore everything, so there'd be, for 95% of it, there, you won't even notice it's there. When we do the tie-in, it will be above ground trenching right here. But then we'll put it back and restore it however you guys want.
Not to mention this, Robert, how much is the parking lot are we taking? Because that's a small, that school has a small parking.
No, they won't, so when they will actually be off our property when they install it, so you won't even know they're there. All the work will be underground. And they'll come up at the end of the parking lot, so they won't they should have almost no impact on this.
This is a little dirt area parking lots right here.
It's off the parking lot, so they would not take, it's like a.
But basically, my quick question, be quick with it is, they're not taking any of our parking spots.
Yeah.
Is my question. Okay, that's my question, because that school parking lot is very small. I just want to be sure that.
We won't impact any asphalt or concrete or any parking.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion?
You have Ingrid and Earl on.
Okay, Mr. Campbell, or Ms. Boatright, do you have any questions on this easement?
No, I don't.
Not on this issue, no.
No.
So I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your time.
I'm gonna ask him to stay for the next topic.
All right.
That's it right here?
Yes, no, you're good.
The next one is just easement discussion.
Yes, so this is something Mr. Smith asked for a while ago.
Yes.
And I figured while Buford Jasper is here, I'd let them or Representative Buford Jasper Water and Sewer is here. Sorry, it's just a work done. That they are who the bulk of our easements were with. And a lot of our easements are blanket easements. And so there are questions about what those are, what the process is. So while Mr. Dudley was here, I'd ask if he'd kind of explain how they use easements, when you request them, and then let y'all ask him any questions you have. So hand it back to you.
Sure. So kind of the Cliff Note version of blanket easements, my understanding is how these went in on school property. Generally, like a project like this, we're asking for a dedicated easement. A blanket easement, we would generally issue to developers. And the reason that way we would do that, like when this school is getting Bellevue, you're basically classified as a developer. And not everyone knew where, the lines would go. You're kind of developing the property. What's the best, way to get the water service there? So we had a blanket easement, and a blanket easement covers, I think it's 10 feet on either side of the pipe or utility. And if you want to relocate it, it's just kind of an understanding between the property owner and the utility. You can come up with an agreement, and you don't have a prescribed easement, you don't have a plat like this. It's just kind of like, hey, we have a blanket easement on this property, and the two of you come to a mutual understanding of where it's going to be at. Kind of like your ditches that you just brought up before I came up here.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the county or whoever it is, they don't want to hire an engineer and go through and spend thousands of dollars to get a permanent easement drawn up just to clean your ditches. So you could issue them a blanket easement to have permission to come on your property to maintain that facility for you.
I'll add just, if I can add to the conversation. So whenever we build a school site, we do all the water and sewer work, and we put it all in. But once it's in, we have to, for the most part, give it for operations sake, to Buford Jasper Water and Sewer, because they're the operating authority. We kind of give up our rights to all that and say, here, you're going to provide us water and sewer. All this utility work we put in is now yours. You now have the right to come on our property if something goes wrong and repair it.
Operate and maintain.
And like you said, I guess it's over a 10-foot. Your actual area that you're supposed to work in is 10 feet or something right over there. You can't just go on our property and start tearing a building down, but you have the rights to come on our property and repair the sewage line if it goes bad.
Correct.
With proper communication.
Yes.
Well, they'd actually, the blanket, they really wouldn't even need to communicate, like in the middle of the night, if they find out a water line is busted, they have the rights to come on our property and fix it. They don't have to tell us that. Because they have those rights. I mean, it is a courtesy, but quite frankly, in the middle of the night, I don't want to call and I wouldn't just go fix it. But yeah, they do not have to tell us, actually. They have the rights to come on our property and fix something that's broken.
How close to the building?
Although
Like,
I mean, it depends where, I mean, each situation is very different. It kind of depends how your underground facilities were built at the time. And then, you
yeah, it
know,
wouldn't go beyond the last manhole. So
Right.
like a last manhole that ties into the building, at that point, they wouldn't go past that because that wouldn't be their.
generally there's a clean out for wastewater. That's generally the demarcation line of where our services stop and your responsibility begins.
okay,
And usually, I've never seen them, you know, usually 20, 30 feet from the edge of building. Like Coosa Elementary, I think you have a pump station on the property there.
Oh, yes.
And so, you know, we have a blanket easement to access that. And you know, if sometime you're like, oh, we're gonna build another building there, so now your easements around this way, around the back, we still have that blanket easement, it's just a different access point. And then the power, I think I've heard the power company, they have a blanket easement with you over, at the International Academy.
Robert Smalls?
Robert Smalls.
Okay, yeah.
And I just heard them talking, you know, they had to set a pole and extend the power line, so instead of drawing a specific area, you know. They have that ability to just kind of communicate and work with the school district on where to best place that. But for something like this, blanket easement's not ideal because we're gonna be jacking and boring, it's gonna be under, you know, it's better just to have that established.
And the difference is this is your line that yeah, this isn't that for us, this is for them.
So, so basically, you would start with a blanket easement, but you won't finish with a blanket easement because you will know exactly where the easement is going in.
There's two different types, you can apply for a blanket easement. Or you can apply, or ask for, you know, an exclusive easement.
Right.
What we're asking for is we're actually trying to get a big blanket easements. It's very general. It's hard, like 30 years from now, when none of us are around, and like, you know, somebody's looking at a piece of paper and like, oh, there's an easement for Beaufort Jasper, but you know, what's going on, where are the lines? So it's better to have an accompanying exhibit going forward, just for record keeping. And we spend so much time trying to figure out where certain easements are, you know, all over our service area.
And for most new projects, they won't turn the water on until we give them as-built or that have everything laid out where everything's at.
So, in terms, my question was, where all the blanket easements at, was that my question?
Yeah, you wanted to know where all our easements are, and that's where I said I couldn't answer that.
So for a blanket easement, at the end of a job, you know, we would get a set of blueprints of the school and be like, okay, the water's going in here, the sewer's going in here. We have a blanket easement, you know, just to be able to come on your property to fix those pipes or do whatever we have to do. So it's not like we'd be out there digging blindly. You know, you reference the as-built to see where you needed to go.
So, at this time, how much blanket easements do Beaufort Jasper has with this, do you know?
That's a great question. I don't know off the top of my head.
I think it's safe to assume that every property has.
Every property.
Maybe if they don't, and we do work on there, they're gonna require us to give them one. So if I'm not,
It's not there yet, it's coming.
yeah, there are some old properties where we've had to give them easements recently because they weren't on there, but. If we do work and before they do anything, they're gonna require us to give them an easement before we hand it over to them.
So if it doesn't have one, it's going to.
Yes.
Every property.
Yes. Besides JJ Davis, y'all don't provide sewer to JJ Davis. We'd love for you to, and we'd give you an easement if you would. But you don't.
Here's the carrot.
You get through this one, we'll take a look at it.
Fair deal.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from Mr. Campbell and Ms. Boatright?
No, I don't have no question.
I had nothing heard from Ingrid.
Me
so
either.
let's- Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next item on the agenda.
So this will be presented at the May 16th board meetings, nothing approved until.
Yes.
Of course. There any email you call for 1 minute to that? Okay, happy to. I will. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming. Okay, we also have the WK Austin easement for apartment complex. Sir, will you come up to the table, please?
I'm Steve Andrews, here with local engineering and surveying firm here to speak to the operations committee about the potential connection to WK Austin Road connection. We've been to this committee twice before, in July 2021 and in February of 2022. And in both of those conversations we had, this committee asked for more information. What we went back, well, let me before I go there, that drawing, what we're looking at is an apartment complex. And at the top of it is Broad River Road, and to the left of the color is WK Austin. And the request is the road that runs east to west, so right along the pond, which is in blue, is Ambrose Run. It's an extension of an existing road that will connect from 21 to WK Austin. So that's the request, and that apartment complex is 534 dwelling. So we initially did a traffic impact analysis looking at the connection to WK Austin and identifying how much traffic would come from the apartments onto WK Austin. And then we looked at what mitigation needed to be done to account for that additional traffic. And the traffic impact analysis identified a right turn lane on WK Austin into the apartment complex. We also looked at, if you did not have the connection to WK Austin and you sent all the traffic to Broad River Road, what would the traffic impact be on WK Austin? They will about the same number, so very similar traffic counts, and we're looking at morning and afternoon peak traffic will come down WK Austin. So if they can't get direct to WK Austin, they'll go onto Broad River Road, drive west, and then turn onto WK Austin. So seeing that without the connection to WK Austin, all of the improvements for mitigation of traffic would be made on Broad River Road to help those turning movements safely get from Broad River onto WK Austin. This traffic is still on WK Austin with no mitigation made to WK Austin. So recently resumed conversations to get back to the board, and the chairman was gracious enough to talk with us and go meet on the site and look at it. And then in subsequent conversations with myself, the chairman, and Mr. Odding, there was questions asked, what would it look like today if we went back to do a third traffic impact analysis, looking specifically at the traffic on the school, which the previous two traffic impact analysis looked at whatever bus movements and turn movements and numbers that we were getting back then. So now with the upgrades, we would get information from the school on population, number of buses coming in and out, number of carpools, whatever data that the school can provide on the specific traffic generated by the school, and relook at what would the improvements required for WK Austin. Would it be left turn lanes in both directions, right turn lane for the traffic traveling from Broad River south along the road? And the ask today is some input from the board that the board would entertain looking at granting the WK Austin once the approved or what warranted would be the right term, the improvements that would be warranted based on the traffic impact, whatever those might be on WK Austin. And then how could the developer and the school work together to implement those improvements. The school is ongoing construction, the developer is to be constructed. And one thing to point out that this study is going to be delayed until the end of the summer when school resumes, because active traffic counts would have to be done under the conditions of school traffic. So there's going to be this time delay, and that's why we have to see what the improvements were, where the school had progressed in traffic, in construction, and how the two would work together to implement these.
Now, Robert, you have talked to me. I went out there with and drove the area and saw where the road would come out. And basically, it comes out here. They can go out here, and you can go out here, correct?
Correct.
So if you were going to the east, you're going to go out either, if you're going to the air station, and I imagine we're going to get people from the air station, they're going to come out here, Broad River, and come across. If you're going east into Beaufort, you're probably going to come out here to go out. So people that will be leaving here are only people that are going west, more than likely. When the school, this is where the school is now. Of course, the school is back farther back. So there's going to be more room for traffic for our kids when they come to pick them up and drop them off. There's going to be more room to get them off the road. Because right now, during those peak times, there are cars lined up on Alston trying to get in. The buses come around this way, so they come in they come up over here. So
Actually, the buses is down.
yeah.
Not,
They're at.
Yeah.
Broad River Road up there, yeah, down is.
Right. So I think what Robert, when I talked to Robert about it, he said, if there's a 3-lane road there, that gives you right lane and left lane. I think there would not be a significant issue. If we don't just have a 2-lane road, there will be a significant issue. There's just no way. It will back up. It'll back up all ways, just trying to make a left turn or lining up for a right turn. So it's really up to the committee here what your thoughts are. I've talked to your principal about it. He doesn't feel it's going to be a significant issue. One thing he's concerned about is there'll be kids living here. They'll be going to Robert Small International Academy. And we're going to probably need a crosswalk, some kind of way to stop traffic to let kids go across the street. So that when you start talking lights and crosswalks and everything, that's a whole different issue.
Right.
So that's his concern.
Absolutely.
There you go. Because people won't pick up those kids.
Right, exactly. They're gonna
Too close.
They'll be in the model within the school.
So comments?
I think I would definitely want to walk it and see it, and then also, I would definitely like to go out there and see exactly what we're talking about in terms of who is the developer.
So there's a group of local and then out of town developers.
Right.
So the current is Logan Development out of North Carolina and Avery Group here locally. But they're apartment development.
Because it just with this being a developer's situation, it just can't be that we're ruining the developer, that we're giving something up to the developer and we're not getting anything out of it. So that's why I think more of when we get more of understanding when that study is done, I think then that will be a time to revisit this, to come up with our, will be the appropriate time to come up with our demand and what we will be willing to give them, and how we'd be willing to get this worked out if that's what the board wants. I mean, because that right now we have, until we have that study and we get that back, we don't have enough concrete evidence for me to move forward. That's from where I sit.
You're asking for an easement for a right-hand turn lane, right? Is that what I understand?
No, actually, the road is a state road.
Right.
It is in a prescribed right of way owned by the state. There's a sliver of land to the east of the road that separates this property from the road. So it would be just to cross that, I say sliver, it's 20 feet.
20 feet. This is school property over here.
Gotcha, okay.
They got to go across our school property to get out to there.
Where'd be the most logical place for a crosswalk?
Probably right there.
Okay, then I say, maybe potentially move forward with, make a motion to the board to approve the easement contingent upon them creating the crosswalk.
Why would we do that? And
Because we're trying to work with the community.
no, that's not a community. You talking about developers. The developers aren't the community.
Yeah, but there's gonna be a community there.
No, but so that's why you negotiate. When you're giving them the right to the easement, then there's no negotiating at that point in time, because now they figure that you've already given them.
Didn't I just say contingent upon them creating a crosswalk?
Well, I just say, for me, it's gonna be a no, just because of the fact that we're not sure, we're getting down to after the study and actually seeing when it develops more, then we'll be able to see, because it may come when we may need something more than crosswalks. We may need lights and all of that. So when you say just continue to the crosswalk, then you say, only thing I have to give us is a crosswalk. As a developer, this is the project that I want. She want a crosswalk, hey, no problem, give it to you. But I think that we're cutting ourselves off at the foot when we go ahead and make a motion now, and when we have time. I mean, we have time when they don't.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
So I wouldn't rush it. I wouldn't support that.
I mean, you guys aren't gonna do the study until next school year, right? Is what you're saying? Correct. Yeah, so, and what's the actual size? You said 20 feet by what?
So it's approximately the width of that strip that separates the two properties is about 20 foot wide, and then we would need it for the width of the right of way, so 15 feet.
And I understand it's a two-phase project. We're going to start and do this part first.
Correct.
So it's probably 2 years, probably, before you get over to here.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for the
Yeah.
developer, but the concept is to get phase one going.
Yeah.
Which can go without this connection and then work this connection out and start the next phase.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I'll give my question. So basically, just give me information today and see where we want to work with you. I believe our answer is yes, we will be willing to work with the developer. But once we get to that hurdle where decisions need to be made, and I think, and we have that study, we have something in our hand that's tangible, facts, and that we can make a demand. Then I think that would be the critical time, though, the appropriate time to start doing negotiation into doing that. But I just don't think that where we are at today is the appropriate time for us to go forward and make a motion. I mean, someone else may feel that way, but I don't think today's the appropriate time. And I don't think that we're not willing to work with the developer, but I just don't think that now is the time to go ahead and give them that. From where I'm sitting.
Just people?
Does
Ingrid
or Earl, do you have anything?
Yes, sir. I was on the committee when we had this initial conversation. And my concern is this: I am looking at all of that development that's going on out there in that corner. And I have been told by multiple people that that is an anticipation of getting a lot of the people that are getting outpriced out of Bluffton. So essentially Bluffton, Hilton Head area workforce housing coming out that way in anticipation of a lot of growth on 170, which is a traffic nightmare. There's a lot of traffic issues with that. My concern is I think this is a break the glass easement for WK Alston. And I would like to see the town of Beaufort be under some pressure, not the town of Beaufort, wherever, because this is unincorporated county, I'm pretty sure. whichever governmental agency, they need to develop Broad River because you can get in and out on Broad River. There's another easement out there that someone has asked for at another time into that Walmart shopping parking lot right there. There was another easement. All these developers want easements because they know the traffic's going to be a nightmare. There was one easement, not this one, but another one that actually proposed running an easement through our bus parking lot out to, because they're doing a bunch of office buildings. So my concern is, I think as a board, we need to be very careful about what we allow on WK Alston, because we do not want that to be a shortcut when the traffic backs up on 170, that people go racing up WK Alston all hours of the day and hit Broad River there, or vice versa. So I have a lot of concerns because right now there are no ins and outs. If Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, there is nothing on that Walmart parking lot currently that feeds into WK Alston, right?
That's correct.
So I think that I do actually have to say, I concur with Mr. Smith's concerns about looking at this as an individual easement, because if you look at that area, they've already done a bunch of clearing out there. There are several, I think this is one of 3 easement requests that we've already reviewed for this area around around Robert Smalls. And so I think we really have to look at it holistically and think how we're going to manage traffic on that, because all 553 apartment units, and I think in that area, they're looking at 1,500 when all is said and done. Right. And it is, and I don't think that some of the municipalities are appropriately planning. I'm not even talking about this section of 170, because when I go to the school board meetings at 8 a.m., we have our work sessions and I'm driving against traffic. 170 is a nightmare. So we're going to have a lot of issues with traffic. And so before we grant an easement, I think we need to look at all of them. And I do agree also that, there's more, that easement's going to be valuable. As far as, they're going to have 553 apartment units trying to drop onto Broad River. That's going to be a very valuable easement. And I know that we had mentioned before the possibility of offering some good rent deals to teachers that might teach or something like that, not just a crosswalk. I think that we really have to look at this in a more comprehensive way. So I could not support that motion if it came before the full board.
Okay. Mr. Campbell, do you have anything to say?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, I don't think we don't have a recommendation to bring before the board. I do believe that we should probably add it to the agenda and inform the rest of the board, because the rest of the board hasn't heard about this yet.
Yeah, I mean, there can be on a committee update.
I think in the committee update, showing it and saying, we got a lot of things we got to talk about, mention the concerns, and go from there. Now, I have talked to Steve Murray, Mayor of Beaufort, and they're planning on annexing not only that, but our property and that other apartment complex is going in just to the south of that.
Did we take a vote on that already?
We've not moved forward. Remember, there was some conversation, Mr. Murray came.
Oh, yeah,
You're right. You already came to the
Quite on it, we'd rather, on our side, we'd rather finish the construction and then annex, so we don't have to worry about permitting agencies changing during mid-construction. So as soon as we're done with construction, we would be fine with going forward with the annexation process.
Well, I guess it's a whole other meeting, but yeah, I just leave that alone. I'll do that for it. No, I'm not ready.
Okay. Sir, anything else you want to?
So, Robert, share with you, I'll have a long agenda, so I want to balance between respect for your time and keeping this brief. To the comments about all the growth in the February 2022 trip here was with Beaufort County. And there was a comprehensive study done from along 170 in Broad River from US 21 Parasol Gateway into the west to Castle Rock. So this isn't looked at a vacuum, it's looked comprehensively for traffic safety and the interconnectivity and the value that has to commuters. And then also, I can appreciate the comments of crosswalk and turn lane, but the party that's not at this table today is the Department of Transportation. So that's their road. The traffic impact analysis we'll identify what. Right, and then that would be the recommendations we would then discuss and have conversations about how to accomplish the construction of those. And it was also mentioned, from the call-in remote, the affordable housing concept, so the developers still are in agreement to discuss that and just what would it look like and what type of allocations need to be made. And be it for teachers, be it for, first responders, how broad of a group you want to include. So those are all issues and possibilities on the table for discussion. So the developers do want to be a partner with y'all in making that happen. So you need that. We're thinking in line with what you're thinking.
If I can, I think what Steve wants some clarification on, or what he was hoping to get. So when they go forward with this study, it has to do with one of the things that I requested with the left turn lanes. Yeah, so far it required the right turn lanes. If there was any improvement on there that would help the school, to me, it would be like you said, adding a third lane that would allow a left turn and coming from pretty much either direction, keep traffic moving and not backing up. So that's one of the things that they have not studied. And so if they were going to study it, I think he'd kind of like to know if that is something that the board is interested in having done there as part of this negotiation, not just a crosswalk, potential turn lanes, because they have to go to the DOT process and design and requesting that. So he doesn't want to go down that road if that is not something that this group and the board sees as advantageous to getting this to be approved.
Well, in all due respect, Robert, I think that developer, being a developer, that's a chance that you take. And we're asking the developer to step forward and they outweigh their options, and they can bring things to us. And when we sit to the table at that time, will be the appropriate time to negotiate anything, but just to say, yeah, we're gonna do, or to give them will be false hope, and I don't want to give them any false hope, because we're saying that we're going to do anybody, but to what degree we're not comfortable with saying that. I think doing that we're forcing our hand to say something that we don't want to say. As a committee at this time, I know developers, and I think developers, they have money. That's what they do. But for us to say that, I think we would be almost misleading them. I'll tell you, take me on a date, and we'll see what happens. In terms of whether I will marry you or not, or whether I may pop the question. So I don't want to say take me on a date. I may marry you, I may not marry you. No, it's up to you to make that option as a developer. That's what developers do. They take those chances. I think anything beyond what we've done today will be prematurely shooting ourselves in the foot. So I'm not going to do that. I heard what you said, but I told them that we work with them. I think that should be suitable enough to them to make their decision. We've already given them indication. That's just correct. Anyone else can speak, but that's where I'm at.
Okay. I think we know where we're at. We'll mention it to the full board in the committee report. And we'll see what kind of feedback we have, and we're welcome to attend that if you wish.
Yeah, that was going to be a question. I would certainly like to attend and then offer to be available to answer questions when it comes before the full board.
That would be very helpful. Okay, that's next Tuesday at 6 o'clock.
And then just for your understanding, and just one last comment, the first two times ended with a general from the committee, we want more information, which we tried, and it wasn't enough information. So that's what this conversation here today and what preceded with Robert and Chairman would. Let's specifically study what you need, and that we just want to make sure that's enough to discover. We'll bring forward whatever the DOT identifies as warranted improvements in the road, and then that's what we can sit down and discuss, negotiate. And so, is that comfortable for you to then release the information we asked for in the meeting? Okay.
Just so y'all know, that's information like number of buses and things like that.
Yeah,
Traffic.
sure. So we can look at specifics for that school under this upgraded condition.
That's something on 40, is correct.
Yeah, I have to go digging a little bit, but.
Okay. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You'll have a good evening.
Thank you.
Yep, Steve, appreciate it.
Okay, we talked a little bit, we need to do it, it's on the agenda, the Whale Branch Early College High School easement for ditch cleaning. Would you like to go over that? Mr. Campbell didn't hear that.
Yeah, so in the past, the county, we've used the county for cleaning some of the ditches at Well Branch Early College High School where they have steep side slopes because they have the mower with an arm on it. It's able to get out there and mow, which we do not have. Quite frankly, it's even harder to rent, I believe. So they've done that in the past. We've asked no real questions. They have a little bit different management structure now. And they said they don't mind doing it, but they want us to grant them the rights to do it. In other words, like Mr. Dudley called a blanket easement, giving them the rights to come in and clean the stormwater ditches on the backside where we need the arm. And so I was hoping we would have that easement prepared. But if we do, and I have not been able to talk to Wendy, so I don't know if it is prepared. But if I may ask if the committee would grant us the authority to put that easement together with the county for that purpose. Are there any questions?
John, all this question would just be, what Scott was trying to say. We can definitely take care of it. I'll have to go a little bit and go the ball rolling. So I'm not looking to hinder it.
I never pass up an opportunity to buy a new tool.
No, we're not buying it.
Somebody
Like
else.
I said, if you want to know things to cut shoulders and stuff, you're kidding me?
I don't want that. No.
The only thing my wife knows to buy me for.
So, you're asking to move forward with preparing the internet so that we can vote on it?
Yes, like one of the things is in order to get this done prior to graduation, kind of need this to move forward. A basic blanket easement that will say the county has the rights to come on our property and clean the drainage ditches. That's the basic summation of what it will say.
I don't mean to be a curmudgeon in this, but not having anything on paper.
I don't have any.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm comfortable with not being able to look at something and go, okay, this is exactly what it's going to. Because that's kind of us writing a blank check at that point.
But I think maybe, let's see, Mr. Campbell.
Yes, I'm concerned. This should have been done a long time ago. There's no reason why you have to go out to the school and it look like a jungle. Students are upset about it, the teachers are upset, the principal's upset. So we need to get this done and get it done quickly before graduation. You know, there's no other school in this county other than the Whale Branch cluster been neglected for years. And we need to do it now. Thank you.
All right, do you have anything to say?
Nope.
Okay.
Also, my question too would be, this would be something that we would dissect, but I was just actually, one of my concerns is, I don't have a problem giving them, like Ms. Campbell said, we're giving them the evening, because we do have a couple schools on the side of the Broad that, not just the Well Branch cluster, so a couple of schools who have rough looking interested when you pull up to them, like St. Helens Elementary School too, who definitely need work in other places. But not getting into that, in contracting these, in contracting this, my question would be, normally when we put these contracts out to bid, why is this not a part of the contractor job to do when we put those contracts out? Because if he or she doesn't have that equipment to get in and get that done, then he or she shouldn't get that contract. Because when we put those contracts out to do maintenance on our lawns and do maintenance at our school facilities, either you have the equipment to do the job or you don't. And here, what we're doing is really, we're circling, and we're allowing it to really go back onto the taxpayers and saying, well, we're gonna allow the county to come in and cut the grass, but here we're paying a company to do it. So really, we're allowing the taxpayers' money to come back and circle and do this job, but also we're paying a company who rightfully should be doing this job. I mean, and that's not really a conversation that I'm gonna push today, but that is a problem. That's very problematic. Because if you took the contract to cut the grass, then you should be able to cut it off.
Girls and Robert said.
Okay, Robert.
Well, I would just say that the contract is set up with a basic, what we would call a mow, blow and go. So it does not include ponds, it does not include drainage ditches, it does not include fence lines, it does not include down trees. Those are all not part of our grounds contract. And that is done to get the best price possible for the district, because it keeps it simple, keeps it something that a lot of the firms can compete against. Equipment like that we're talking about here that the county has, we do have, and I'm not even sure we can rent in the area. It's very expensive, it's very costly, it would drive our costs through the roof. I'm very grateful that the county has been able to do that to us at a very low cost in the past. They do it at just their hourly rate for their workers if they're working overtime. That's it. So it is the most affordable, the most cost-effective way for us to get this done. And it's not in their current contracts.
Right, and I understand that, but to me, until we spell it out, until we go over it on paper, and I understand a little better, it sounds. If I take a contract and you tell me to paint that wall and the paint in those cracks, if I take the contract, regardless if I got the paintbrush or whatever or the spray to get that done, that's up to me as a contractor. So either you can do the contract or you can't. Anything in between that is excuses. One period. That's how I proceed. If you can do the job, you can't do it. Okay.
Ingrid's hand and our girl's hand.
Ingrid, go ahead.
I think we should do it, and if we can get it done before graduation, I'm not on the committee, but I agree that we should have something to look at. But I do think that if they could commit to having it done by graduation, I would absolutely be willing, if I was on the committee, to approve this motion with the understanding that I would review that contract afterwards. I have a fair amount of trust that the county, this is a county thing. It's a boutique thing. And I concur with Mr. Campbell that it would be very nice to have that cleaned up before graduation, because that's when that school gets a lot of community attention.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes, when we had local grounds people came in and was doing the schools, we didn't have this problem. They cut along the fence line, they trimmed the grass, they cut the grass, weeded, and did everything. But when we let go of those folks and got these big contractors come in, that's when the problem starts. And they go out there, they'll make us one suite, and that's it. So, and when we get ready to do the contract, I would like to see these contractors come to the meeting so we can explain to them what they're supposed to do. Because if this was any other company they were working for and they're doing this, they would have been gone a long time ago. Thank you.
Okay, I haven't had a chance to say anything. It seems to me that the county has, because I've seen it, they come out in my neighborhood as well and clean out, just run it down those ditches, those drainage ditches, so that all the growth in there will not stop the water from flowing. So I've seen it, it's a special piece of gear to do that. And we need to have this, as Mr. Campbell said, we need to have this done right away. And if all it takes is an easement to the county to go in and because they've been doing it in the past. But they're refusing to do it now because they don't have an easement, which gives them liability coverage. I think we can negotiate a different contract with the grounds at a different time, but right now we have an opportunity to get something done that needs to be done with the equipment that they have. So I think there's two issues to this.
I agree. I apologize.
Okay, all right. So can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we give the county the easement with the exception that with them as Carthage bring something to executive session in writing so that we can be comfortable. How you put that, because I know I'm talking fast and saying a lot.
Motion to recommend to the full board that the county be provided a blank easement.
Well, I think what you want to do is, say blanket easement for ditch cleaning
For ditch cleaning.
and ask that it be brought. I think you're asking for the final copy to be brought back to the board once
For
executed.
approval.
Well, no, you're approving it
Oh,
now.
yeah,
You're just wanting to see.
we're recommending it to.
You're
Not approving it, we're recommending. it.
Recommended.
And if we get it before the board meeting, which we should be able to, because it's fairly simple.
Yeah.
So motion to recommend to the full board that the county be provided a blanket easement for ditch cleaning at 12 Branch Early College High School. And brought before,
Details provided to executive committee. Okay, any other discussion on this motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. Okay,
actually.
And just thank y'all for letting us put that through without having a copy. That does help us. We'll get a copy.
good. Next item on the agenda, school assignment for apartment complex in New Riverside.
I think you skipped construction update.
Construction of-
I'm sorry. Rob, sorry, Rob.
Oh, yeah. I told him earlier I wasn't in a hurry for tonight, but he didn't pick me up.
Go ahead, Rob. Take that.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to provide an executive construction update. Long lead times and inflationary cost increases do continue to be encountered. In this month's materials, there are 4 yellow traffic lights that appear. May River High School on slide 12, that's just being continued to be reported because we want to continue to monitor the completion of that turf field in that first home game. Everything is running smoothly right now, but just be cautious. We'll keep that in our eyesight quite closely. On slide 14, Hilton Head Island ECC, the yellow light is due to schedule delays. We had anticipated being able to receive a GMP proposal in the month of April, but we do have this 100% construction documents issued. But there was significant amount of changes with the final set of design documents in that progress set that Thompson Turner Construction was using to sort of expedite their GMP proposal. So that factored into it, as well as their subs. Every sub in this area is super busy right now, and they're just not able to turn around proposals quickly. But that's why it's yellow. We fully expect that we'll receive that GMP proposal this month. The next yellow light is on slide 23 for Hilton Head Island High School. Yellow light is once again due to scheduled delays. We have sat down with the entire team and got firm commitments for the remaining items. I am pleased to report that we have issued amendment number 37 for the new security cameras. That's been signed already by MBCon and is continuing to be routed for the remaining signature. The final bid documents for the main campus PA were distributed on May 4th, and that is a little earlier than the commitment we had hammered out with the designer. So that's great news to see.
MBCon has committed to providing the GMP proposal for the PA on or before May 17th. And McMillan Patterson Smith has issued the final bid documents for the new field house and the remaining athletic scope. That took place on May 5th. And MBCon is currently pricing this work and has committed to providing us the GMP proposal on or before May 12th. The fourth one is related to Fort Royal Elementary School, slide 38. Yellow lights due to budget concerns. The GMP proposal that we received from Ajax has been evaluated and is over budget. We're working with Ajax to prepare a revised GMP proposal to address the budget concerns. And the district has also chosen to receive a GMP proposal from Thompson Turner Construction to ensure that the district receives the best possible cost proposal for this work. And I do know that this afternoon, both of those proposals are anticipated to be received. We had received the proposal from Ajax just before this meeting started. Project manager is diving into it right now, looking to evaluate it further.
Is the reason for this because this is our oldest school in our district, built in 1920s? Is that why we're having such a difficult time with this?
That's a portion of it, I believe. The other thing was that we believe, and this is one of the main reasons why we wanted to reach out to Thompson Turner to get a second opinion on this. Ajax had evaluated the scope that needs to be completed, and the duration seemed to be quite lengthy from our perspective, where we believe that's a very small campus, as you know, you should be able to get in and get out. So those are some of the factors I believe that played into this budget concern. Like I said, we've gotten one in our hands this afternoon. The second one should be in today as well, and we'll evaluate that and bring forward a recommendation when possible. Moving along in my update, slide 56 at the last Operation Committee meeting on April 18th. Mr. Smith requested an update for the St. Helena Elementary gym, providing some updates for that work there. The gym entry canopy, the existing canopy demolition scheduled to begin on May 13th. This weekend, canopy materials have been ordered, and the scheduled date to complete the new canopy is on or before August 14th. And we have a commitment of that date from that construction manager. Moving along, ESSER project updates. The bipolarization project, slide 72, all of the units have been installed and the control wiring is complete. Final testing and third-party verification is currently taking place. And for the bottle filler projects on slide 73, all of the scheduled installations have been completed except for BESC. There was a little shortage of the materials, and we thought it wisest to perform the improvements out of the school, and we'll get the improvements here in this office as soon as those materials arrive. Project closeouts, making progress on the referendum projects. Quick update for the 8%. There's still one project that remains under FY 2019. For FY 2020, there's 10 projects remaining. Under the referendum projects, closeout slides 76 to 78. 21 closeouts have been completed to date. And in addition to that tool, if you see attachment 3 in our materials, that's the 2019 financial 519 report. We're also tracking it on that as well by shading the rows in green. And if you count those rows up, there's 111 financial commitments now that have been completed to date. So we're making progress on that front. Financial update, slide 80. Overall, the monthly update is once again being reported with a green traffic light. Current referendum budget is $375,710,000. The paid and committed funds through April 30th are $583,999. The paid expenditures through the end of April total $222,446,064. And the remaining available funds, including contingency, total $39,126,001. Contingency activity in April included use of $815,082. Contingency remaining at the end of April totals just under $8 million at $7,992,203. And analysis is still indicating that the remaining referendum scope can be completed with the remaining available funds. Moving on to some community outreach updates, slide 87. Bluffton High School ribbon cutting for the field house and weight room. We're in the process of getting that scheduled. Tentative dates that are being explored are in the last week of May or in the first week of June. The Robert Smalls International Academy ribbon cutting is scheduled to take place on August 9th at 3 p.m. And Battery Creek High School's ribbon cutting scheduled to take place on August 25th. And as a reminder, that time is going to be a little bit of a TBD. There's a board work session that day, and it's anticipated that the board will take a break somewhere between 1 and 2:30 so that that ribbon cutting can take place in that time frame. The last one is the Hilton Head Island Middle School ribbon cutting. The proposed date right now is August 30th at 1 p.m. Quick little updates before I conclude. Requests for proposals, RFPs, and requests for qualifications. The RFP for professional roofing services proposals were received on April 18th. The selection committee is scheduled to meet on May 19th. The RFQ for the architect for the new PK5 elementary school at the May River campus. The responses were received March 29th. Shortlisting has taken place and interviews took place yesterday. And the last one to report on was RFQ for the construction project estimator associated with the next bond referendum. Contract has been awarded to Cumming Management Group. This concludes my executive construction update.
Questions, Mr. Nate? No. Questions, Ingrid or Earl?
Ugh, this thing's driving me crazy on my phone. It keeps like the microphone keeps driving. Yeah, I just have a quick question because I was confused. You said for Hilton Head Island High School, you said the security cameras, because we didn't get the technology upgrade. So I didn't realize we were getting new. Are you just adding a few security cameras?
That was handled under safety side of the safety security, because as you're correct, a lot of this does sort of intertwine between safety security and the technology infrastructure updates. But under safety, there was a need for some additional security cameras on that campus, and that work has been put under contract.
Yeah, so Ms. Boatright, yes, what our goal is, like all other schools, to have 100% coverage of the school.
Yeah.
And so anywhere where we didn't have coverage, we're adding cameras. And then any cameras that do not have a clear picture, we're replacing with new cameras that will have
Just out
a
of
clear.
curiosity, what's the dollar amount on that project? Ish.
300,000
Yeah, it was under I think it was under 400,000 for that.
300,000 range.
To add cameras? Okay. All right. I guess I do question that. I mean, yeah, because we're eventually going to be building the school and shutting down stuff, and I don't know. It seems crazy to me that we're spending $300,000 putting in new old cameras more, But anyways, I guess I'm glad my son's giving me the evil eye over here, so I guess I'm glad we're getting them.
Parts of the building will be used for 4 years, so cameras kind of technology can go. Needs to be replaced almost every 5 years sometimes, so we'll get 4 years out of use out of a lot of these cameras.
Right. Okay.
Mr. Campbell, do you have anything? Okay. Have you finished? We're finished. Thank you. You're going to get this executive session at the full board meeting, correct?
Next week?
Yeah.
I'm going to defer to Robert.
I will be giving,
vacation.
you will be giving. it.
Yeah, you get here his.
I will be glad to give it during the board meeting.
Okay.
Thank
You're
you.
fine. Thank you very much.
What's the limit?
I was just asking a question if I was going to be available for the board meeting next week, and I'm on vacation next week.
Oh,
Robert's
okay.
going to provide the update.
We'll see.
So the next item on the agenda is school assignment for apartment complex in New Riverside.
That's me.
That's Carol. Go ahead.
So, just a little history lesson first before we start on this. If you, remember in your facilities master plan on page 141, we talk about how we did some spot zoning, creating these sort of donut holes in the past for new neighborhoods that were coming online before people moved into them. So if we decided that a school was full, that we could move them to a school where it was not as full and or had available space to add mobiles or increase homes. So this is a new townhome development. I pulled up their webpage so you can read a little bit about them. They're looking at pricing those homes in the 400,000s. Yeah, so do note on there that they are advertising their zone for Pritchardville, H.E. McCracken, and May River High School. Now, the adjacent neighborhood behind it, is one of those donut holes, the landings that we created that now goes to Bluffton Elementary School, McCracken, and Bluffton High School. So just that little bit of history lesson. Back to the slides, Robin. So I went by and tried to talk to someone about this. They don't have an office on site. I've tried contacting them. No one has returned my calls. But I did take some pictures sort of to show you on that second slide, kind of where things are. It does look a little different from what they're advertising on their website in terms of what they look like, but I don't know any more information than that. So the third slide, I'm just showing you a little bit about, this does lie within a mile range of Pritchardville Elementary School. In the past, we've tried to keep people who live within a mile of the school going to the school. But you'll see in that yellow, that's part of that donut hole there, where there are already existing neighborhoods, right in there, that don't go to Pritchardville or to May. This Pritchardville's not right. So right now, Pritchardville Elementary School at 45-day had 108 students, putting them at 126% of their building capacity.
I don't think you meant 108.
1,000.
1,008.
It's 1,000.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. It's 1,008 students.
Yes.
Yeah, it's probably a little. Yeah. Just off by factor of 10.
10.
Just one very important zero. Okay. I'm glad you all can read and keep me on track. Bluffton Elementary School, it was at 77% at the 45-day. With 733 students. I do know the last time I sort of looked at their data, they had grown. So the impact of these donut holes that we created, it is working. The growth that we're seeing is getting pushed over to Bluffton Elementary and Bluffton High School. The next slide, I think, is the high school zone, same kind of situation, just taking a look at that. May River High School is at 90% capacity, but so is Bluffton High School. The next slide is just the middle school zone. Again, we didn't create any donut holes for the McCracken zone because they already had mobiles in place that weren't all being used. They are being used now. But we have space there. If we needed to add additional mobiles, we could do that. And that was the intent of this, zoning allowance that you all as a board created for us in 2018. So
Well, I was gonna say, if I can just remind everybody about May River, when we created those other donut holes, that was prior to us adding those additions on to May River and River Ridge. And so May River's numbers were way up, and if you remember, we added the 10 classroom or 8 classroom modular. And since then, we've put the additions, now their numbers have come down, and Bluffton Highs have gone up, so now they're about equal. Providing that little history there.
yeah, thank you. Again, this is just showing that new little area. I thought that little area actually was just all commercial. So this one kind of caught me off guard. I will admit to that. I thought it was all,
And you know
but I found.
what the price point is?
About 400,000 is what they're advertising. Townhomes,
Townhome.
400,000.
Jeez.
And again, I have not talked to anyone.
Yeah,
I have called, left a message. The person said they were gonna be out of town.
and demographically, you know, I don't know what kind of folks are buying townhomes. Townhomes are not normally something that people with kids want.
Right.
I mean, those look beautiful, but again, that's not what I
That's not
see
what it
being
is,
built.
It doesn't look like a townhome. It looks like a town-
It does look like giant block apartment complexes, so it's a little of a disconnect there with what's going on, so.
It doesn't look
We
like-
just wanted to inform you this
Yeah.
was there. Seek your guidance on
It doesn't-
what you think with this
Yeah.
kind of student assignment zone.
This, unlike this apartment complex they're talking about behind Kmart, where it has a pool, it has dog walking areas, it has playground areas and so on. This,
This has a pool. When I drove by, I could see that they have a community center. It looks like they're gonna have some kind of amenities, those kind of things.
so we don't,
It was, there's a lot of fencing there. You could not get really close to what's going on.
we don't really know.
We don't know a lot about that
Yeah.
complex, correct. We don't know what it will, I don't have a real good comp in the real estate world to look at another townhome development,
So what are you looking
So you
at
can
from
compare
from
it.
the board?
sort of seeking your guidance. I think we could go either way. We have the design for a new elementary school, that you all approved. We're hoping that will be completed in July of 25. That's our target date. So it's a matter of, we certainly don't want more students at Pritchardville.
Our problem is Pritchardville. So
That's the.
previously, we were also trying to protect May River. Now May River and Bluffton High are equal. So it really is a coin flip where you send kids. A.T. McCracken and Bluffton Middle has a little more space, but McCracken can be expanded with mobiles. The
Right.
big issue is Pritchardville. Pritchardville is 126% capacity right now. We'd rather not send any more kids than we have to Pritchard.
And again, we don't know a time frame yet for when these will be, if they've sold any, when they will be for sale, because it's obvious they're still very much under construction. So again, we were seeking guidance
Yeah,
on
we're
whether
gonna
we think we
need
can.
more guidance from our school board members from the Bluffton area that have a better handle on what they know in the community. I don't have a clue.
Again, I live in that community and it kind of slipped up on me.
I've been watching it come up for months.
I mean, I've seen, but I did not realize it was not part of that parcel we had done that hold.
And I don't think.
I did not realize it was in that other part that we had thought was all commercial.
I can remember when the donut holes were, given to the board
Mhm.
and Mr. Smith, we were there when that happened, but our new board members, I don't think know about that issue. And so I think it'd probably be a good idea at this coming board meeting to have a little Dick and Jane about what your challenges have been with attendance zones in the Bluffton area, and then get some feedback from Rachel and Tina and so on.
Well, they'll give you a preview of what will be to come.
Yes.
As you bring another elementary school online. At that point, you will have to do that attendance zone planning for where, the new school will draw students from.
And actually, I'd like to take time to thank you that you just didn't let this go unnoticed and that you have brought this to our attention that, hey, FYI, this is here, because oftentimes it's not an FYI, this is what we got to go. We need something today. So I appreciate you for.
That happens every now and again.
Yeah, right, but I'm really glad, but my point is I appreciate you for bringing stuff to us so that we can start thinking and formulating what we may want to do or how we may want to approach the situation. And then in terms of Bluffton High School and Mill River High School growth, one thing I will say is that I do believe that when there's more growth in certain areas, that Bluffton High School can be added on to, because that was one of the options before we built Mill River High School, was to add on to Bluffton High School. And so that's still an option. And I'm aware of, because I've been in tune with that school since that school first opened from day one. When that school first opened, I've had some dealings with that school. So just in terms of that, what's that, Robert?
No, I was just gonna let you know that, just know that in the referendum, we're talking about adding on Cape facility at Bluffton High and adding on to May River. So that will give both schools a little bit additional capacity from where they are today, once those are built and goes forward. So to your point, and what we have planned right now is to add on Bluffton High.
Yeah.
That's in the referendum. And those will be additional capacity
Class.
seats.
Yeah, I mean, career and tech, but that'll also free up spaces in the building. I think that weight room as well would create some additional capacity in the building for putting something in that exterior.
See, that's all I had.
One of the things that I think some of the board members don't really realize, because it hasn't been linear growth in Bluffton like that. And so we have parents who say, my child gets on the bus, they go past an elementary school to another elementary school. And that doesn't make sense. So, I understand, but I don't know that the new board members especially understand that. And also, it's something that's going to have to be fixed out in the long run. That's a very, very emotional thing to try to do.
We'll preview.
Yeah.
How that will be.
But
Well,
I-
realize
it
we
really
haven't done
can't, really
anything.
can't be done until Bluffton is built out. Then it has to be done, and it has to be phased in.
And we haven't done any student assignment planning of that nature since 2015. We were planning for River Ridge opening. We went ahead and did the planning not only for River Ridge with elementary and middle, but also the phased plan so that when May River came online, that planning was done too. So yes, the board has not had this conversation in a very long
Right. Any other
Yeah.
questions, comments?
time.
Ingrid or Earl, any comments, questions?
Let's see, Ingrid is gone and.
Okay. I think we mentioned it in the committee report, and we can be prepared to give them and show those slides.
Okay.
And,
maybe by then I'll have a little more information.
okay,
Well,
great.
Thank you.
Maintenance and custodial monthly report discussion.
You might have them there.
We're gonna ask Brandy Majors to come forward.
Good evening, committee chair and fellow board members. Thank you for allowing us to present this information. So what you have in front of you is a report template that we are presenting for y'all to review based on the conversation and approval that occurred last week at the board meeting for the quality assurance continuation plan that was developed for HES custodial services. This was a template that was formatted in the operations department with some of our members as far as what data points we're looking at capturing for upcoming maintenance and custodial reports, our monthly reports. The first page you're going to see is going to address custodial. What data points we're going to ask to pull through our spot inspections. We will be using a inspection software called CompuClean by Spartan, which is a inspection software that will allow us to capture individual spot inspections in specific spaces. So we'll be doing those in accordance with the quality assurance continuation plan. The first set of data is going to be the spot inspections that I'll be collecting with a minimum of 4 inspections per week, if not more. When I go and do those spot inspections, that's going to allow me to actually get in that individual space. For example, like a restroom, and actually rate the condition of that space if it relates to fixtures and the condition of the overall space. That software is organized that it rates the inspection on a 5-point scale, 5 being the highest, and then it takes the average of those individual scores within the space and averages them up to give you a percentage. So the first part of the report would allow us to relay my inspection results when those are completed. Then HES management team, they will also be doing their own inspection reports using the same software. And then that last section for reporting will be their staffing numbers. And then we look at also including, any points of recognition where we're succeeding, any points where we're struggling, and, pictures, and obviously we'll continue to attach that quality assurance continuation plan. So we have a reference point of how we're gauging their performance. So for the first page, do we have any questions for custodial as far as data that you'd like to see, or do you feel this is pretty comprehensive? Because this is really, we're asking for your feedback on this.
Comments?
Well, I'll be honest, this is my first look at it.
No
So,
worries.
so, yeah, I was gonna look at it and.
Okay.
Well, I think there's an opportunity for it to be a little bit more of a living document, right? So as we're going on,
I agree.
inspections start and then start generating
Get to the
data.
actual, the first couple of reports and see what the data looks like when it
Yes,
actually comes in.
that's
I think
perfect.
it's a good start.
Okay. The second page is going to be the data points that we're looking at collecting for the maintenance service provider. We did include the work orders to date by craft because we had addressed those data sets in previous operations committee meetings. So we included that. That seemed to be a really good talking point. So we want to keep that in there, as well as additional work order counts for to date work order counts and monthly work order counts. We have discussed doing a school blitz monthly. And so that would entail actually having our maintenance and custodial providers go to a school. We alternate and do one north of the Broad, one south of the Broad. And we spend the day in that school, not only pulling a work order in progress report to get a high number of work orders in progress completed, but also we walk the school and do a facilities walk to identify self-generated work orders, and then speak with administration to get any concerns that we need to get from them to add to our work order counts to address. So the blitz spotlight we look at doing for the maintenance to add to these data totals, just so we can have a more focused view of what we're doing at these schools and kind of create a narrative for y'all. So you can kind of see a more visual presentation of what's happening when we do the maintenance blitz. So again, staffing numbers for maintenance, as well as we'll still provide the work orders by craft and include school pictures and data as far as what we address when we did the blitz at that particular school for that month. So that concludes what we're looking at presenting. The goal would be to present this report monthly. So our first report would be at the next operations committee. Are we having an operations committee in June?
Yeah. Sort of.
Okay. That would be our next reporting period. And then as you said, and Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a starting point. This is a great starting point for us. So the first time we're doing this. And so we have an opportunity to not only present good data, but also get a lot of feedback and see how we need to, change it potentially if we need to add or, revise it in any way, shape, or form.
Questions, comments?
I said, thank you for your work. I appreciate you taking this serious enough, and I appreciate you as well. Y'all getting to this and getting started, and hopefully it'll be some operation moving forward.
Yes, yes, sir.
I was at Beaufort High, you were there too, for the public comments on the budget. As I was walking from the dining facility to the front entrance, was counting the ceiling tiles with water stains.
Mhm.
That to me is just flat unacceptable. I counted 5 of them. And that's what, you say pictures, that's the kind of thing was tempted to go on down and do that.
Mhm.
But it's kind of like the broken window. If you know, once you see something like that in a school, you start throwing gum at it or something. I mean, it's something that is such a small detail that is so important.
Mhm.
And it's, you know, a ceiling tile is easy to fix, easy to replace. The leak may be something that's problematic, but oftentimes it is something that is fixed, but then the stupid ceiling tile goes back up there.
Mhm.
And that's unacceptable. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. I think this is going to be a great step to give principals and the board a good indication of what's being done in maintenance of the facility. So I think it's a great idea.
I think the blitz is a great idea. I can't wait to see how well that works out.
Yeah.
Well, basically, I mean, we're getting started on the process, so if there's anything you see in there that we don't feel like, or you wanted to see that we're not covering,
Yeah,
please let
I
us know.
think we're gonna have to see a real report.
Okay,
Mhm.
You
yeah,
know, I mean, it looks, all the things look good,
right.
but once we see it. Put our hands on it and just chew on it a bit. I'm sure there'll be some tweaks, but I think fundamentally it's.
So we coming to you next month.
Yes.
Okay. All right,
Yeah, thank you.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
OE8 discussion facilities, Robert.
Now, this is me. It's kind of based on the conversation that came out of the policy committee. Because as you know, OE8 was not approved when it went in front of the board. There was a request, I believe, to add the word secured, which the policy committee did. So I'm kind of wondering what I need to do or what needs to be done to get this off stuff or get it to move forward. So I'm looking for guidance.
Also
Well, it was the report that I actually didn't provide a copy of it in your packet of the past report that went to the board. Believe it
Once
was-
the report.
It was in December of it.
Yeah.
So it just hasn't been. And we need to get it all stuck, I guess. Either I need to make some changes or do some additional reporting. Or we need to approve the past one, or that's why I'm looking for guidance on what we need to do to move it forward.
As I recall from that meeting.
No, this is just this isn't the actual report. That's just
the OE.
the OE.
As I recall from that meeting, it was mostly adding verbiage. It was adding, safety, security,
Well, that was the one item, and I wish Ms. Boatright was still here, because I believe Ms. Boatright and somebody else thought we did not cover completely enough the RFP reports.
Oh, yeah.
And if you'll notice, even like tonight, what we've done since then is when Rob gives his construction update, if you'll notice, the last piece is an RFP report. So every month now, you're getting an RFP report to ensure that we cover that. We were not doing that previously.
Yeah.
So one suggestion I believe that Ms. Boatright gave last time was you could even approve it with exceptions, which would be about the coverage of the RFP in the past. But I can tell you we are covering it now. They didn't feel like there was some question on whether we did a good enough job in the previous year covering, is what Ms. Boatright would say.
RFP.
Request for proposals, letting you know when we're out for bid for contracts, like you see, he talked about how we're out for the architect for the new elementary school, things like that.
Comments?
This
I think we can. I think we give it to the full board again and say, okay, here it is. We've responded. You have responded to our comments and questions. Are there any other issues to be brought up. And it's- to me, these things need to live a little. You put them out there, you work it. And after a month or two, you look at it and say, yeah, we're doing that, or nope, we're not doing that, or this isn't being done right.
But that's why you're here, is because it's stalled out again, right?
It's right out.
So
Yeah.
So get it on the street.
the report we gave in December was for the previous, everything we did the year before.
Right.
You know, that we had met the requirements of the OE. And what my statement was is that we fully met the requirements of the OE.
So
believe it was Miss-
I'm looking in December.
Is it December or January?
It has to be January because we didn't do it. You didn't do it in December. So I'm looking under December.
Well, I think when it was brought to the board, I apologize, I should have.
No,
I
Yeah, I'm
think I vaguely remember about right saying something, but
right.
I didn't know what I didn't know, and I still don't know what I didn't know, so it's like almost over my head right now.
Well, I mean, I borrowed, so one of the things in the OE, I have a copy, you're gonna just open. So one of the items is.
And OE 8.6, the facility, but you're talking about the whole total OE 8 report, correct?
Right.
But didn't one of those, was Cushionberry, didn't one of those reports go back to the, to one of those committees last meeting?
They went to the policy.
Oh, okay.
We went to the policy to add the word security in.
Right.
And in policy, what Robert was saying, other things came up to look at OE8 for discussion because Dr. Boneski and Ms. Boatwright were saying that some of these things don't necessarily pertain to us, and looking at the wording and what should be looking at OE8 in its totality.
Well, she was, you know, quite, the item 2 is.
Right, that was a big discussion.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. So here it is, item 1F. The question I remember that they felt, it says notifies the board immediately upon a decision being made to form a selection committee concerning major construction projects. So they did not feel like we gave them enough. No, I had some cited times that we brought it up, but did not think it was clear enough. And that's why, of course, we've added it to our report. So now, next time I report, I can say, well, every month we report on RFPs. And so that should be pretty clear, and I don't foresee that being an issue going forward. My problem is it's hard to go, I can't go back and do different things. I either, you either need, in my mind, ask for more, you either need to ask for more information, accept it with conditions, accept it, and I don't know what happens if you reject it. I need to find out how to get it off rejected, I think, because I don't know if that's something that can be.
You know, I see it with school names, mascots, and colors. I don't want to open it and go any.
Yeah, maybe, I take,
That only occurs when there's a new school, yeah.
Yeah, we got one.
We got one coming, yes.
yeah,
So this was presented in February.
February.
February of 2023, you did the OE8 monitoring report. So that was February's.
Okay. And can you go to F, what my response was to 1F?
SUDEF.
So that I gave my response that we did fulfill it, so parks with construction update.
well, maybe I guess somebody might need to reach out to me, Ms. Boatwright and, maybe we just need to see, I ask them what needs to be done. And if it's complete, then they can say, go ahead and move forward with it. If not, then they can just say, we can bring it back, that's all.
I will mention that for the full board in the report.
So do you want me to put that, we're bringing this back under the committee for full board approval again?
No,
No, not yet?
Not for approval.
Okay,
You can say it's more about guidance on
Guidance.
how,
Yeah.
what to do next. Is really what I'm asking.
Yeah, just basically, that's what we're doing, and the full board will get a copy of this and probably not gonna ask for a decision.
so you want them to have a copy of this or the actual report that he made in February?
I think you want that, that was this.
The February.
Let's not start, let's not go back with the February.
Okay, you want that,
This.
okay.
You still look confused, Mr. Nair.
It's not that I'm confused, it's just
We
that,
still have to approve the February 14th though, so when do we bring that back for approval? His report, we still have to, the full board has to approve this monitoring report. Because it'll be a part of,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I
That-
think
that's-
you're asking for guidance. Either they tell me to get additional information to add to it. They can,
change something.
Yeah,
Or we fulfilled it, we fulfilled it, we did.
or you can accept it as is, or you can accept it with conditions.
Exactly.
Like, accept it with everything but one F, if that, we feel like that wasn't filled.
there doesn't seem to be an option for rejection. And that should,
Yeah, I don't,
yeah, I mean, there's no, we can't reject it as it stands, so yes, it's one of those three options. If it keeps. Again, I don't know the history behind this, but if it keeps stalling out and we're ready to move forward with it again. If you believe that you have fulfilled everything on this. Can we not, or you recommend to the committee that you're ready for this to be looked at for approval again?
I mean, yeah, that's, well, I guess that's, I'm.
Well, let's. do
That's
that.
why I'm looking confused,
Yeah.
because if you feel like it's stalled out, I'm
Now,
sorry.
let's do that and say. Speak now or forever hold your peace. It may not be 100%. But let's use it for a while. Let's put it out there and do it. It's like you write a SOP. You write it down, this is what I think we're gonna do. And then you do it. And then you go back and look at it again, say, yeah, that works. Or
So the February 14 one, how much different from this one is it? Does it just include the request for proposals?
So what he's doing is, this is the actual policy,
That's as it stands.
right?
The
That is
14th is the one for February is the one that we're asking to approve.
Right,
How does the February 14th differ from this one?
What I gave was a summary of everything we did in the previous year, 2022, to fulfill those requirements.
right,
So what I was reporting on is how,
How you're fulfilling this?
yes,
Right.
Yes.
Okay, and there's nothing that's lacking in that report on how this is being fulfilled 100%.
the one question that got brought up was one F. That's what I was saying about that we reported every time we went out for RFPs. I would say.
Got it, okay.
So there was a couple, I think Ms. Boatright and somebody else, and Ms. Boatright in policy said. She just wanted to have a conversation, she wanted to have a conversation about attendance boundaries and. So she did not want to approve it, because she wanted to have more of a conversation about talking about attendance boundaries.
and that
In
was not.
schools that are under populated, and there needed to be conversation about that. My response would be, we describe all that in the facilities master plan, so that's all covered in there, all the information is in there. I'm saying, she'd agree with me on this, it's all there, she just wants the board to have a conversation about that item, is what she was trying to bring forward. So I think she would say that she'd approve it, her one thing was one F, and we've since addressed it, so I don't have any problem if somebody wants to approve it conditionally with one F not being met.
But it has been.
That's what I stated. They said it wasn't clear enough, I would say. And that's about RFP. And since that time, it definitely has been. We will fulfill it going forward. I promise you that. We've made sure it's clear.
Let's just get it modified.
Agreed.
Yeah, because if nothing else, they'll give me direction.
Yeah.
If it gets rejected, or I just need to know how to move it.
that's the point of this committee, right? Is to go to the board and say, this is what we recommend. So the recommendation is the recommendation from this committee to say approve that the Feb 14th.
Yeah.
Because this is the previous reservation has been fulfilled.
Right. Exactly.
So move.
Second.
Okay,
Motion to
All those in favor?
recommend to the
Aye.
full board, the approval of,
And I think
The
that's kind of what the
monitoring
policy committee
report.
said, is
Yeah.
they just needed y'all to put it back out there, because they didn't have any issues with it.
Okay. I think that's fine.
monitoring report OEA facilities. Everyone is agreement.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay. Future topics.
When I went to I went to a workshop, I went to a workshop or whatever. There was a group that wanted to come and talk to us about, I think it's about clean, about saving energy. Something like that, and the operations committee would be where they would need to.
There's a group that wants to talk about it.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Is it a contractor or?
I think it's, I believe it's a contract, I think it's a contract, no, it's a company. It is a company.
And they do what? Energy analysis?
Yeah, they do, right, I didn't want to do it, they want to do one for free or something like that, they just normally come in and then do it. And so they want to do it and, they want to just offer it and speak to the board and tell us a little about themselves, and I think that the operation, that's how the operation function, so I see why not having a problem bringing them in, but I'll get the,
You had the point of contact?
yeah, I had to put contact.
So my suggestion on that was if you give that to me and let us present about whatever it is that they're wanting to talk about. I'm a little hesitant about bringing a contractor in to talk directly to y'all. What your question is whether or not you want to go out with an RFP for whatever their service is.
No, I don't think, I don't think about is what, I don't think it's about going after an RFP. I think there's just a contractor saying, hey, this is what we do, tell us about that company. They're not, I don't see them as coming into, say they were coming to sell us something, they're not taking it to be different, but they're not coming to sell us anything. They're saying, hey, this is what we do, we kind of do it for free. So, either, you want us to come in and start, come in and do it or not, or just really engage in the conversation. And then from there, I believe then that's what we would, if there was something, there was some type of interest, then I believe then we would say, hey, look here, now you need to deal with our facilities director from there, but not as in us even negotiating. I mean, because there you have the authority to close the door, and that's not what it's about. It's about them coming and talking to us and telling us what they do, a little about themselves, and how they can help us out.
Here's the problem. The problem is the procurement code would cause a problem with that. So what they could do is provide us the materials.
Okay, yeah, actually, he's letting the guy sit in.
If we can look at the materials and see if we have interest, and if we do have interest, then we would go out with a request for proposal. If we bring them in here, somebody could say they have an advantage, and it's not an honest,
Because then you'd have to allow any
Everybody.
firm that competes against them in here as well.
I mean,
And I don't think we want to start that.
yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think that's the scope of the committee.
I think they're saying more along the lines of.
Yeah, but I mean, the procurement code, like, kiboshes that, I mean, it needs to stop, we can't even discuss it. Because then we're showing preference to one individual.
yeah. So if they came in and did that, we almost, unless there's nobody else out there that does this, which I think there's going to be a lot of folks that will do this, they would be disqualified. And I'm sure they don't want to do that, but if they give us the materials, that's not a problem. We can take a look at it.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. Because he just,
Yeah. you know, we get all kinds of emails from people wanting to tell us about that. I just got one.
want your roof contract. Oh, yeah, we want
Yeah, that's dirty. I got this thing for, you see the one today came in about guns? He said, I've got some stuff you can put on the windows and keep your
Security film.
round from going through the windows. And boy, you really need this. Yeah, right.
Oh, wow.
I just delete them. But that comes in my email all the time.
Solicitation is what they do.
Yeah.
But no, actually, I met this brother at a conference.
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, then, you know, get some
And
information.
you know, Michigan, nothing's for free. They
Yeah.
say they're doing something for free, but they're.
And then also, there was just a study done that I like that would come forward.
None of it.
I was shocked by the briefings that ad. Maybe we got somebody, but I didn't remember seeing it. About checking the air at Pritchard or something like that.
Would be glad to give you an update on.
Yeah, because I don't remember us as a board or
Update,
Us as a-
Richard Bear Quality,
Glad to talk to you.
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
We're offline.
yes.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
for a
that-
future topic?
Future topic.
Okay,
Yeah.
update on Richard
Well, I
Bear.
remember the last time we had the conversation.
yeah, because a couple of
I learned more about mold than I ever thought I'd ever want to.
Is there anything, so I have a question for the next meeting.
I have one,
Oh.
I know Red Cedar is gonna have a sidewalk easement with, town of Schluppen. They wanna repair the sidewalk at Red Cedar.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
So we've established for this, that we will be meeting on the second Tuesdays of each month.
Mhm.
The second Tuesday in June, we're going to have a board meeting because of Beaufort High's graduation on the first Tuesday. So when do you want to move operations?
So the board meetings are the second and fourth Tuesdays,
Just for in the month of June?
just one meeting?
No, we have two. In June, the board meeting is gonna be June 13th and June 27th
So that's the second
and the
and
fourth,
fourth, so we could
Fourth
meet
for
the
them.
third Tuesday.
the 20th.
Yeah, the 20th. Because there's a graduation on the 6th.
June 20th,
Yes,
I'll be gone.
okay,
Yeah, I'll be out of state.
because we are off on the 19th.
Yeah.
So we can meet the week previous
Different day.
on a different day. You all want to meet on the 14th or the,
I'm leaving on the 15th.
okay,
I'll be gone for 2 weeks.
all right, so
12th?
meet on the 12th.
12th is good for me.
No, wait a minute, it's somebody's on the second. That's fine.
12th?
Sure. And,
What time?
okay.
12th.
Time,
1700?
Yes.
What day is on that one?
so Monday, the
On the
12th
12th at
at
5
5
o'clock.
o'clock. We'll have the same issue in July. We'll cross out.
That's
Break it
1700.
there.
You got it. Yeah, in July will be the same.
Yeah, because in July, we only have one board meeting
Yeah.
in July.
Yeah.
And that will be on the 11th.
We'll figure that out. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Thank you very much.
Good meeting.
Anybody interested in me talking about Bridgeville?
Yeah, send it.
Meeting
Oh.
down first?